1 sec. Right, the pace car has pulled in. We've now got the cars in a reasonably good formation. So it's the blue and white and black and silver area motorsport Seat on pole position. It's the Joe Locke, number 86. All-white BMW alongside them. It's another all-white BMW, number 37, Andy Marston, just behind him. The red lights are on the gantry. They go out, and the race gets underway for what's left of 100 minutes. Down towards Abbey they will go for the first time then. It looks like it's the Seat that has managed to hold on to the lead at the moment. They're going very quickly. It's the number 45 Lotus all over the grass there. That's Will Stacey.
Hasn't made any ground, has he?
Well, not on the grass he won't do. That's the Lotus line, clearly, because there was a couple of them off on the grass. I think the other one might have been Leon Bidgeway, who started right at the back. They've got 96 minutes or so still to go to get back into the race, as Phil Driver was that making up a move in the Porsche on the inside. But yeah, all heading through the link and out onto the Hangar Straight on lap number 1 of this race. The leaders already turning their way through Stoke Corner. Absolutely fantastic sight, Marcus.
Yeah, very much so. The whole of the Hangar Straight just absolutely solid with cars as far as the eye can see. I think the last of them now pretty much run. The Browse BMW has made up about 10 places.
Yeah, that's the green car that we're looking at on the warming up lap, and he sort of had to catch the next move because and there's been a coming together by the looks of it.
34.
That's David Griffin. Now he started on row 3 of the grid, and I think he's the only car that's stuck in the gravel truck there. I wonder if that's going to trigger an early safety car. One with damage, that's Sammy Venables in the back of the shot, the white car with the red and blue and black rectangles on it.
And that's broken the tracking, hasn't it? It's all snaking all over the place. Might be a tyre gone down, but it certainly is in big trouble.
And it's got a lap to do to get back to the pit lane as well, so they are going to lose time without a doubt, the Venables and Dart team, because of that. I wonder if they did manage to get themselves involved with that Griffin BMW that went off at the Vale on the first flying lap of the race.
And your tyre smoke up here at Village, that's not going to come out, is it?
No. Much as the hard work is appreciated by the marshals, it's all going to be in vain on this occasion, I think. That's the 25 car of Darren Ball, and there's the Venables BMW that's come to stop. So it's not even made it back to the pit lane, unfortunately. Maybe they'll be able to get it back to the paddock and get back out into the race at some point. That is the Alan Henderson Lotus making its way through. There is the 126 car. And we've got safety car out. We've got a green flag being waved, slightly confusingly, with the safety car boards, we think, also being shown. No, we've not got safety car being shown from the gantry. So maybe the safety car's not yet gone out. Race continues, and it's Baker and Swift. Swift at the moment leading Joe Locke by about a second. Now the Venables car I can see is mobile again. We've got the snatch vehicle on the way to get the Griffin BMW out. There it is. And for the moment the race continuing under double waved yellows. There's a little bit of a gap in the traffic, but that won't last for terribly long. So we are working the 4th lap of this Tegiwa Club Enduro Championship race. There's the Stuart Nichols car, and these are the leaders. You can see that there are double waved yellow flags, which means they've got to slow down and be prepared to stop. It means that there's a vehicle or marshals or both on the circuit or close to the edge of the circuit, and drivers have to be very mindful to slow down when they see those yellow flags and certainly not overtake. And Carl Swift did his personal best lap of the race on that lap, a 1 minute 13.24, the fastest lap of the race so far, which is identical to the existing lap record of Rory Hines and Owen Fitzgerald. It's Carl Swift out there in that car at the moment. He's been sharing this car with Rob Baker. They shared a Civic before that as well. He's been doing that for a while. Both of them previously did race Civics in a one-make championship. On to the Hangar Straight comes our race leader then for the 5th time. Carl Swift heading down into Stoke Corner looking for his 5th victory of the season.
Yep, and the first of the big BMWs up behind. there's the Henderson Lotus, pursued by 37, yesterday's Road Sports winner, Andy Marston, with his now be-winged BM.
Henderson's just got through on this lap, hasn't he? And he's actually already started to break away a little bit from Marston, who's got Will Caswell behind him in the Seat. The Griffin car is now behind the barrier, so that's good news. The racing can continue. But that's going to go no further in this race. So 5 laps completed. Carl Swift extends his lead now to 2.1 seconds over Joe Locke's BMW in second place. There's the Andy Marston car in third position. And the Griffin car is now spreading gravel all over the circuit, which will be much appreciated by all of his rivals, I'm sure. And he's got to do a full lap really to get back to the pits as well.
Yes, that's right, and he's just completing his first lap. The leaders are now on lap 6.
Yeah, so Griffin won't be featuring in the sharp end of the results. Will get the car back to the pit lane, cleaned out, and hopefully get it back out into the race. But it'll be for experience and testing mileage, but not much more, one would think. Still just over 90 minutes to go. So Alan Henderson is the other driver really that's threatened to win a race this season in that Lotus. So we'll see what he can do. The Lotus Elise S2. Watching what's going on a bit further down the order. That is the number 10 Golf, which is the car that's been started by John Maudsley on this occasion, and he is running outside the top 20. I think he's running in 28th position, so about halfway down the field. That's the treble 5 car, which is the only one I think we didn't know the starting driver for, but we're going to go with James Alford. I think he's sharing the car with Mark Lloyd-Jones though today. A few of these Golfs now out there, very competitive cars for Class B. That's the 240 brake horsepower per tonne class. And there is, well, he's not gone into the pit lane, David Griffin, which I thought he was going to. He's opted to carry on, I think, shaking that gravel out of the under tray of the car. There is the Browse car. Now, what progress has that made up the order? Let's have a look. See if we can see that on our screen. It's 25th, I think. So that's come about halfway up the order now, just ahead of the Alford car.
It'll be showing on our main screen relatively soon at this rate of progress, won't it, Ian?
Yeah, it should do. I can see that there's at least one of the cars out there which doesn't have a working transponder, which is not ideal. That's the car that's in 9th position. If we can try and work out who that is, we shall do so. But that TX number means that the transponder hasn't been registered to a particular car. Good group of cars going through here. So there's Luke Handley, number 51. Now he's the Class B Championship leader coming into this weekend, but he only started 6th within the class. He's 22nd overall at the moment, and 2, 3, 4. He's actually 7th in class, so he's lost positions in the early part of this race. So he's not doing what he needs to do to try and stop Swift and Baker winning the championship.
It's another area car, isn't it? So they're doing rather well in this championship.
Yeah, lots of area motorsport cars on the grid. Rob Baker's team, and often we see Carl Swift do the lion's share of the championship. I assume all of those teams in the pit lane are checking on the live timing, or the data, or possibly Facebook and Instagram. It's hard to know, isn't it? There's the 808 car going through, and that is Stuart Nichols. 808 because it looks like Bob, which is what the car's known at. How is Stuart getting on in his climb up the order? He's up to 32nd now, and driving that car solo, as we said. So he's made up about 16 positions over the opening 7 laps or so of the race. Look like the treble 7 Civic of Jeremy Crook and Alec Livesley. That's been a double winner so far this season in the championship in the opening 2 races of the year, which were at certainly the first race was at Donington, the second race was at Croft. And that 71 going through the front of shot there, that's the black MX-5 of the Class C championship leader, Alex Miller, starting that car. It's his car. He'll hand over to John Langridge for the second part of the race, and that car is leading Class C at the moment. Joel Oswick's BMW, which is the 53 car, you can see, is second within that class at the moment. So that's a good scrap for the Class C lead coming over the line then. The BMW coming out of the slipstream, trying to come down the inside into Abbey. They've got the 98 car of Rory Baptiste as well involved. So those three cars you can see there are disputing the lead of Class C at the moment. Mazda and a couple of BMWs down into Village, and the fourth car there is the Crook and Livesley Honda. So that's the four Class C leaders all together. As we have 87 minutes to go, the Miller car just going a bit wide, I could see momentarily. That's 316 Ivor Mares. Long time Formula Ford race, who's previously raced a BMW and Club Enduro. Been racing this Paul Scherder and Mazda for a couple of seasons now. Very grateful to Ivor for delivering chocolate biscuits to the commentary box at Croft. Unfortunately, it was very warm and they melted before we could enjoy them. But not to worry, as we're watching the Golf heading its way down the Hanger Straight, turning in there with Steve Cheetham just behind. And so that is the 87 George Heller Golf, which is in the invitation class, I think. You can see Ivor Mares in the 316 car. He has got the number 29 BMW Z4 behind him. That's Andy Roby who's starting that car. And there's the race leader just lapping one of the drivers, or one of the teams that could stop the Area Motorsport crew wrapping up the championship this weekend, because that's the Alex Miller John Langridge car that they've now put a lap on already, only 15 minutes or so into this race. So far so good for Carl Swift, nearly 5 seconds clear of Joe Locke. Just see if we can pick up on the battle for second, which is in the background. Oh, we've got one driver that's in the pit lane. That's the number 6 car of Matthew Wallace. It looks like he's serving a penalty, a stop-go penalty of some kind, possibly for a start infringement, I would think, given that the early stage of the race in which that's happened.
Good battle between the Porsches of Gillespie 15 and Dryborough 16. Very close together, running in 19th and 20th overall, the B category contenders.
This is the battle for second place overall, and Alan Henderson has now caught Joe Locke. There's only about a quarter of a second between these two, and so Henderson has worked hard over the last couple of laps to get on terms. And it is interesting that we've got three different types of car in the first three places. You've got the Seat Leon Euro Cup car, you've got the BMW, and then you've got the Little Lotus, and they're into the pits. Eventually has come number 34, David Griffin, in the BMW to clear out the gravel, I think, that and maybe see if there was any other damage that needs to be repaired on that car before he goes back out again. Henderson, as they turn through Stowe this time, looks a little bit further away than Locke than he was at the beginning of the lap.
Yeah, his sort of sweet spot really is the tight, twisty stuff, isn't it? He'll be outgunned in a straight line, but you'd have thought that in the park from certainly Village to the Hanger Straight through the link there, that the handling of the Lotus would really play its hand in that duel.
So here they are. They're about 4 3/4 seconds behind Carl Swift. Actually, they've caught a little bit onto Carl Swift this time. Saxon Motorsport team awaiting their drive in the pit stops. He shouldn't be in for at least another 13 minutes because mandatory pit stops aren't permitted in the first half an hour of the race. Oh, and look, Henderson's back on terms again as they come onto the Hanger Straight.
Yes, the Lotus have a good record here, don't they? Is it Joe Taylor won last year, didn't he?
Yeah, he's gone well here at Silverstone in the past. Man from Staffordshire. And there's the Holden Commodore, and that's going really well, actually. Will Ashmore starting that car. big 7-litre machine, and I suspect it's suited to Silverstone better than some of the other circuits that car's visited this year.
It wouldn't go awfully well at Capital Park, would it?
You wouldn't think so. You wouldn't think so. What have we got going on here? Well, that's the 21 car of Howarth going through, and that is a change of position, I think, because they're getting ahead of William Caswell now. So that looks like a change. And the 87 car in between them is George Heller. And Steve Cheetham, champion from 2 years ago, is out of the race by the looks of it. He's in the gravel trap at Stowe, that is. That appears to be. So we've got the number 90 car of Henderson turning its way through. Yellow flags there, and that will be because of the Cheetham car that is off. We didn't see how it got there, unfortunately. Where was he running? He was just towards the back end of the top 10 or 12 place, I think, Steve Cheetham, champion from a couple of years ago.
Well, Henderson's ahead of Joe Locke now as they go around Stowe Corner down into the Vale. Either side of one of the Porsches, the orange one, the number 76 car.
That's Michael Downey.
481 spun.
That's Edward Christie's E36 M3, one of the Class B cars, and that's at Village, and hopefully he'll get that fired up again. So Alan Henderson now trying to cover an effective path through the traffic. There's another car in the pit lane as well now. That's number 53, which is that's Charlie Dark. And Joel Oswick in that one.
That was in the running, wasn't it?
It was.
In its class.
Will Stacey again trying to use the outside line as he did on the down at Village on the first lap as well, which didn't work to terribly good effect. Where is Will Stacey running now in that number 49 car? He is in 11th position, and he's actually leading Class B. So he's had a good comeback from that. He's in 11th overall, ahead of the 27 car, which is being driven by Mark Rice at the moment. Got Luke Handley in this group here, number 51, as the 23 Lotus either goes slowly or just tries to keep out of the way. That's Graham Robinson, driver from Chichester, in Lotus Elise Series 2. And in fact, that Lotus was on the grass there in the background, so I wonder if it's actually got a problem and whether he might be heading to the pit lane at the end of this lap. So there's Handley in 51. He is not yet showing in the top 20s, in 21st position at the moment, just behind the Andy Bailey Civic at the moment. So that is for class position. They've got Phil Drybrough, another Class B car, ahead of them. So Drybrough, Handley now ahead of Bailey, and Bailey, they're all Class B cars. And they are, I think, about 4th, 5th and 6th in class at the moment. So making their way through the Vale, certainly as things stand, it's looking reasonably good for Rob Baker and Carl Swift to get the championship wrapped up with a race to spare, without needing to worry about the meeting at Alton Park in October. There's Phil Drybrough, number 16, making his way through, and number 80 also there. That is Christopher Etheridge in the E46 M3. He'll hand over to Andrew Etheridge for the second part of the race, the drivers from North Wales.
To see that the 41 car is moving up strongly. That's David Mercer, 3 times a starter at Le Mans 24 Hours. David, the retired dental surgeon, now 71. Finished 11th at Le Mans in 86 in Dane Jens Winter's URD BMW. Started out as a club racer, David Mercer, did a lot of mod sports, things like that. Ended up doing British Formula 2, which was at that stage Formula 3000 spec, historic Formula 1, so he's been around a bit in the old racing game.
There's that 22 car, the Browse car again, that started from the back.
Yeah, it's not a very stealthy livery, is it?
It's not, is it? How far have they got up the order now?
They're into 13th place in car 22.
That is very good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Luke Browse taking the first stint in that car, just coming up to pass the Matthew Tidmarsh Mazda MX-5. And look at this is for the lead now. Alan Henderson right with Carl Swift. The gap has gone down from 1.73 seconds to 0.24 seconds within a lap, and Henderson tries to go around the outside of Carl Swift down at Village. He gets the cut back on the exit of the corner. They go through that left-hand kink, then the next turn is the right-hand that brings them onto the hangar straight. Henderson tucks back in behind. The Seat washes out a little bit though. The Lotus gets a better exit from the corner, and the two of them will be alongside, I think, as they head down the hangar straight, with the Lotus of Alan Henderson on the inside line. But no, there's yellow flags there and he has to back out. Oh, well, that's a shame, because Alan Henderson got a great run out of that corner that brought them onto the hangar straight, Marcus.
Yeah, that looks very promising for a while, but due to be dropped in, that's where the Cheetham car is at Stowe, which is in the gravel. Also, the approach to Stowe, isn't it?
Yes, it is a slightly odd place to go, but it ends up in the gravel, which makes me think that it did spin there, so something broke on the car if there was a little touch.
Here's Henderson, who's invisible in a straight line.
Yeah, just hiding behind that Seat. Gap almost exactly the same as it was on the previous lap, 0.25 seconds. Henderson's done the best lap of the race, 1 minute 12.44. He has lapped 8 tenths faster than Carl Swift has managed during the course of this race. He's broken the lap record, and he's going to have another go here. Different line being taken by Swift through that kink and then towards the link this time. Again, Henderson much better through that corner that brings them onto the straight, and again gets alongside. But I wonder if there's still going to be yellows out there.
I suspect perhaps not, because there's still kind of cars passing up ahead. Oh, there it is. We saw a pass, but that might have been just before the yellow.
It's quite difficult to get the perspective, isn't it, down the straight.
And Locke is moving in as well, isn't he? He's the big white BMW looks pretty imposing.
If you look at Carl Swift's lap times there, the last lap was a 1:15.87, so he's lapping 2.5 seconds slower than he has been. So I wonder.
Yeah, but Henderson's only a hundredth slower. So,
yeah.
But they did have to back off, didn't they, for the situation at Stowe?
They did. Let's see what this lap time is. They've got the more back markers ahead. This lap time is another 1:15, a 1:15.76 for Swift, a 1:15.91 for Henderson. So the gap stays more or less as it was, but they are lapping a bit slower than they were, and possibly by more than is accounted for by backing off at Stowe.
And a 1:14.36 for Joe Locke in the chase. So he's closing in all the while.
Henderson having another go. He's gone around the outside at Village this time. Going to be on the left-hand side of the road for the kink, down towards the link they come. Again,
it's that cutback, isn't it, that works every time to get him alongside, but it's a very, very busy straight ahead of them.
I think there's 7 or 8 cars that they're going to need to get ahead of immediately. And of course there's yellow flags as well, and that's a pit stop. And that could be for a driver change. So the pit lane window is not yet open, is it? No, Ian, do your maths correctly. It's not yet open. So I'll just try and see who that was.
Plain white M3, wasn't it?
Yeah. So here they come, and the top 3 are more or less together now as they work their way past these. Back markers isn't really fair, because you've got the cars here that are in and around the final positions inside the top 20.
Yeah.
So these are mostly the Class B cars that they're making their way through.
It's in the thick of midfield, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely right. That time through, they're in the 1:17s. And there was traffic that time, so you can understand the lap time being much slower there. But the top 3 did lap times within 0.3 of a second of one another.
Yeah, so we'll wait to see who comes through next. I mean, Marston was a long way down. He's still there, so it's not the white car of Marston, the 37. And he's 17 seconds away from the lead.
Through on the inside of the number 80 car of Chris Etheridge, they go at the link onto the hangar straight once again. This is lap 21 of the race. We've had 26 and 27 minutes of the race so far, so pit lane 3 minutes away from winning. And in the foreground there, a change within Class B. That is Luke Handley getting ahead of Phil Drybrough, and that's going to be for 1, 2, 3, I think 4th place within Class B now. So Luke Handley in the 51 Golf slowly picking his way back through, and we're going to have one area motorsport class leader or class championship leader passing another momentarily, because the two of them are together on track now. The Golf and the Seat is going to get it probably around about Village, something like that.
Is that the return of the Cheetham Porsche, or another one looking very similar to it?
So we've got there's the Gillespie Porsche out there as well, that's running in 16th place, car number 15, the teammate to it.
Two cars in the same area, as you might say.
Absolutely. And we do have the lapping going on. Now, where does Luke Handley slot in? He's slotted between himself and Alan Henderson briefly there, doing a slight favour for his teammate maybe, but that was never going to last for very long.
And the BMW's with them, isn't he? And he made up good ground there to Joe Locke. He's got Ash Hicklin waiting to take it over as appropriate.
Yeah, and in fact we've got a change for second there, because the BMW's got ahead of Henderson. So Joe Locke, all from out of nowhere really, gets up into second place now ahead of Alan Henderson. The traffic no doubt has had an impact there as they've been going through that twisty section onto the Hanger Straight. They've got the two Porsches side by side ahead of them, Colin Gillespie and Phil Drybrough. They go either side of Drybrough, and now they might well go either side of Gillespie as well, because it looked like Henderson was going to take to the runoff area to try and get through. So 22 laps now completed, and all of a sudden Carl Swift has got a 2.5 second lead again, as these two have been delayed in traffic and Henderson has lost out. That is the 87 car of George Heller. This is for 5th position overall. That Golf is in the invitation class. It's not scoring points, but it's got ahead of the Holden now.
Got past the Commodore, hasn't he? Yep. And that's the Nichols MR2 Roadster behind, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So I think we've got 3 cars on, or 2 cars on different laps here. 3 of them together, but it was for position Heller getting ahead of Will Ashmore that time. Here's the race leader heading down into Stowe Corner for the 23rd time, and 2.5 seconds ahead of Joe Locke at the moment. There is Locke, and Locke has got a bit of daylight between himself and Hicklin now. He's going past the Matthew Tidmarsh MX-5 as he goes through the Vale, and we are now about to get the pit window open balls being shown. There we are. We've had 30 minutes of the race, so now we can have the mandatory pit stops being made any time for the next 55 minutes. Those stops have to be 3 minutes at least in length. We don't have to have the extra 30 seconds that we had earlier on in the season for sanitisation of the inside of the car. That requirement by Motorsport UK has been removed now. So there is Joe Locke. He's going past the Bidgeway Lotus, but now he's got the Henderson Lotus back with him again, and again the Henderson car makes a good exit out of the link and onto the Hanger Straight. Can't quite see the Lotus just at the moment, but there is the Locke car. Yes, the Henderson car got not quite as close as I thought it might be as it got past that slower BMW, which I think is... try and work out which one that is, but never mind.
Yeah, it gets out grunted in the straight line, doesn't it? It's gone in, and that's Henderson into the pits.
So the first of the mandatory stops for our front runners. So Alan Henderson, number 90, makes a relatively early stop, 23 laps into the race. Also going in for its mandatory stop is number 34, David Griffin. Probably slower than Henderson wanted it to, actually. So Henderson slots into position. So it's at least 3 minutes that the cars have to be stationary. You can see the team on hand to do some refuelling. And the 21 car's been off the road by the looks of it. That's Adam Howarth in his E36 M3. Back onto the circuit now, though. And that was off down at Village.
Leaders onto the hangar straight at the back of your screens. They're just hiding behind the graphic at the moment. There is the Carl Swift-driven Honda. Oh, sorry, it's a Seat, isn't it?
And look how Locke's caught him on this lap. 2.34 seconds was the gap. But Swift's been delayed in traffic there. Possibly yellow flags as well if that Howarth car was off just in front of him. The gap seems to have come down a little bit. So I would think a pit stop here is going to cost you about 3 laps, isn't it? 3-minute stop, including getting in and out. 1 minute 13 seconds laps. There's Henderson. He's got out of the car. He's going to get back into it again. I suppose you might as well stretch your legs a little bit while you've got the opportunity. Get a drink of water maybe if you need to refresh yourself. So those are the 2 leads, and the gap came down to 1.13 seconds that time. So that was 0.8 of a second or so found by Joe Locke on that occasion in the BMW. And that car is not particularly well up in the points. It's only had 1 finish so far this season. That was a 2nd place at Brands Hatch. But right with the leader here now. Passing the 481 car of Edward Christie in his BMW E36 M3. I wondered if one of them might dive for the pits, but no, they both stay out for another lap. They've got another 50 minutes or so in which to make their mandatory stop. They've got a big gaggle of back markers to try and find their way past now, though, as they make their way along the Hamilton Straight and in towards the right-hander at Abbey. They've gone through. That time through, the gap had come down to 0.43 seconds, so another 0.7 found by Joe Locke. He's a 1:14.45 and Swift a 1:15.15. Both of them a little bit off their best times, though. Onto the hangar straight they go again. That's looked like a good run out of the link for Locke this time.
Got a lot more torque, hasn't he? He's got his nose ahead now going down into Stowe, but territorial advantage still on the inside with Carl Swift. He manages to so you get there is the Henderson Lotus.
Yeah, that's heading back out into the race, but here are the 2 leaders. They're going past the 27 car of Mark Grice. He's in 13th position overall, and then they've got the 18 car just ahead of them. That's the car being started by Matthew Faulkner. Hand over to Simon Major. There's the Lotus getting back out into the race. Which
won't feature again until the stagger starts to unwind on the pit stops.
No, and that could take 50 minutes to work out. There's Will Stacey in the number 49 car. He still leads Class B in that blue Lotus.
Yep, he's running in 10th place overall, car number 49, Will Stacey.
You can see the leaders just heading into shot in the background. They've got past, or the leader has got past the Faulkner Honda now and has put that car between himself and Joe Locke for the moment.
The big green Browse BMW's running 11th, car 22. You can see that car on the straight. I saw wipers go on one of the BMWs a second ago.
Yeah, there's spots of rain on the camera lens there as well, so some rain in the air again, and I wonder if this might prompt a round of pit stops. We've got just over an hour of the race left to go. There in the foreground you can see Alex Miller in his MX-5 going through, but here are the that's the Marston car, isn't it? So that is for not a position on track, is it? That's involving some traffic as well, I think, because yeah, that's Handley a lap down as Marston in 3rd position tries to get past the 66 BMW of Paul Sabiani. So Handley behind him in 9th position, but the second of those cars, no, that number 6 car, that's also a lap down, isn't it? That's the Wallace car, which had to serve a penalty in the early stages of the race. So that's just I think, unlapping itself from, or passing now Luke Handley for position, to correct myself, and get up to 15th position.
Yeah, Andy Marston was just trying to stay out of the way there, wasn't he? And not to get tagged, which would be very beneficial. He's running in third in the 37 BMW.
Yes, promoted into that position with Alan Henderson's stop, of course. That's also brought the George Heller Golf into 4th position overall in number 87. There's Colin Gillespie in number 15. We've seen him racing a variety of different cars over the past few seasons in Club Enduro, BMWs. I think he's had a Civic on occasion as well. There's Marston though, and in the middle of that shot you can see number 71, which is Alex Miller, just in battle with the number 29 car there, and that is Miller, who's still leading Class C by a little bit from Rory Baptiste in second place within that class. News from Josh in the pits is that there's been no problem for Alan Henderson. It was a stop to get out of the traffic. He felt he was being held up by the leaders, and perhaps could have lapped a bit faster than them. So that's Alan Henderson, who's gone back out into the race.
The Baptiste car is a white and green one, isn't it? And it's a white car with green trim. It's now running ahead of the Mazda.
Yes, that looks like we've had the change then, doesn't it? Just looking at our screens, yes, that did get through. So the 98 car now through, narrowly into the lead of Class C, ahead of Alex Miller. They're also being passed by Luke Handley. So yes, Roy Baptiste in the 98 car. So it's Tim Hartland actually driving that car in the first part of the race. Now ahead of Miller for Class C lead. And again, that means that that car is dropping points, which means again that Baker and Swift will win the championship if things stay as they are. There's the 126 car, so that's also in. That's from a top 6 position as well. So that's going to be Brad Kaler who's going to pick up the driving for the second part of the race, and gaps come down to less than half a second again.
That's the leader's just lapping Luke Browse, who is 11th overall in car 22, the bright green Stowmarket glass BMW.
Almost side by side for the lead down into Stowe Corner. Joe Locke keen to try and make a move on Carl Swift. I think there's a chance that we'll see pit stops before too much longer for these cars. They've still got plenty of time to make them, but
difficult to drive around the outside at Stowe in the dry, isn't it?
Yeah.
There might be a little bit more grip there in the wet, but not in these conditions.
Over the line they go to complete lap number 31 of this 100-minute race. I would think we'll get something like 85 laps out of this. The 69 car is into the pit lane as well. That's Matthew Hampson, who's going to hand over to Andy Schultz now, and Andy Schultz therefore will do the longest stint, and he is the quicker driver of those two. So that makes a degree of sense. The lead is still nose to tail though as we come towards the middle point of this race, which will come with 50 minutes to go. Still number 1, Carl Baker. Oh, and there's the 7 car. That's Matty Taylor. So William Ashmore at the moment. So he is still there in 5th place, and he comes up and over the line. He's got a lot of traffic to work his way through as well. This 6.2 litre Holden Commodore, absolute beast of a car. Army Motorsport writ large on the side of it. We've regularly seen Matty and Will out in Armed Forces race challenge races in the previous seasons as well. There's the two leaders together. Oh, and that's Stuart Nichols off-road, I think on the tarmac runoff area, just disappearing behind the grandstand there. And that, trying to work out where on the circuit that was. We'll try and pick up, there he is. Yes, that was at the exit of Abbey by the looks of it. He's back out onto the circuit, and I don't think he's made contact with anything. So he's using the tarmac runoff when he joins the circuit at Village. So Stuart Nichols back out into the race in the Imagine Productions liveried car. Leaders go through once again, half a second between Carl Swift and Joe Locke now, and they are 27 seconds clear of Andy Marston in third position. There's the Brad Kaler car, as it now is, getting back out into the race, and that will have dropped probably 3 laps behind as a result of that, but we need to wait for the pit stops to unwind.
Pretty much abreast going into Stowe that time in, but again it's Carl Swift who's managing just to hold them. He's making that car just wide enough to deter Joe Locke, former Radical Racer, from trying to go around the outside.
I do wonder if as they're racing so close to one another, if they might be slowing one another up, and if maybe a pit stop for one or other of them would be worthwhile, because that's what Alan Henderson thought, why he's made his stop. Is he watched 55 come in, that's Chris Coomer. He's going to hand over to Oliver Barsby. Chris Coomer, a former Civic Cup racer. So 2 leaders still together. Class B, that's still being led by William Stacey, now up into 8th position overall, with some cars ahead having made their pit stops. And Class C, that's still being led, well no, it's now being led, I should say, by Alex Miller again, because I wonder if the Heartland car has come into the pits, but certainly it's Miller that's back out in front in Class C in the MX-5, and there it is briefly, we saw it on screen there. There's the Holden Commodore screaming its way through. And there's Alan Henderson back out on track. So where is he running now? He's a few laps down. To try and pick up where the number 90 car actually is, having made its stop. He's 25th, and he's done a 1 minute 12.44. That was done in the first part of the race. He's been lapping in the 1:15s since he came back out, but he'll have been in traffic.
Had just over a third of the distance, haven't we? Down to what, 55 minutes. There's something with there's a car with something hanging off it coming onto the straight.
See if we
There's a
can
bit
pick
of bodywork
up who
flapping.
that is. Darren Ball been off the road, 25 in his BMW 1 Series. Yes, that car that you referred to is the Treble 5 car, which is the James Alford and Mark Lloyd-Jones car. We didn't get the start driver for that car, but it looks like it's been a bit of a biff maybe, and the bodywork that goes over the wheel arch.
Yeah, it's just the back of the wheel arch that's taken the trim with it, isn't it? It's, yeah.
So that car continuing along for the moment. I think some of the drivers are a bit concerned about tyre wear on the front wheel drive cars. Certainly the tyres on the car 126 that had been into the pits. That was the William Caswell car. They'd taken a bit of a beating. So that's news from the pit lane.
David Mercer up into 6th place in 41. But he's got William Stacey in that Class B leading 49 Lotus just behind his BMW.
There is the Wallace car being shared by the 2 brothers, Matthew Wallace and Simon Wallace, who both used to race in MR2s. That's where they started their racing careers. They've been racing in Club Enduro for a few seasons now. And that car running in 12th position overall as things stand. That car there alongside is the 69 car, which is now being driven by Andy Schultz, who is the quicker of the 2 drivers in that team. The car shared with Matthew Hampson. White flag being waved, and that's for the slow car of Darren Ball, I think. It was on the right hand side of the circuit. The white flag being used to signify that there's a slow vehicle on circuit. It can also mean there's a service vehicle, an ambulance or a fire truck or something on the circuit as well, but in this case the slow car of Darren Ball. That's the 176 Lotus of Matthew Pickford, which Brian Chandler will take over in the second part of the race. And for the moment, that car is in 26th position, one of the Class B cars. There's the Mini, number 58. That's Neville Jones. Christopher Jones will take over in that one. There's the leader, and still got Joe Locke only just behind him in the number 86 car. Darren Ball now into the pits, having driven slowly up the hanger straight a moment ago. So, oh, and there's some smoke coming off the brakes there.
Locked on, I wonder, or?
Yeah, it could be. Oh, there's the flapping bodywork on the treble 5 car, which has now got its wipers going as well. So, punishing race this for some of the competitors on the tyres. In particular, I think the Chris Coomer and Oliver Barsby car, the tyres on that Seat have also taken a hammering in the first 48 minutes of the race, so whether they'll be able to get back out or not, I'm not quite sure. But certainly tough circuit on the tyres, this Silverstone International circuit. Of course, the circuit was fully resurfaced, wasn't it, a couple of years ago, after some issues which affected the MotoGP race. So coming up towards the halfway mark here, and still the two leaders yet to make their stops, well, of course, because they're still leading. But there's Henderson, who's on the charge through the field, having made his stop very early on.
Yeah, it's really close run out front. It's just nipped out to over a second, but that's in traffic as much as anything else.
What lap times is Henderson doing now? He's in the 14s.
Where's has the Seat gone in?
There's the lead Seat, still out there at the moment, just ahead of the 86 car of Joe Locke. Will Stacey's Class B Lotus right behind us at the moment as well. There's the Tim Gray Motorsport run BMW in second place.
Do they normally run halfway, half and half, the Seat crew?
I think they broadly will do, but it really does depend on the strategy. If there's a safety car, that they will go one way or the other. And and that's is that the Faulkner Civic that's off there? That is at Village, I think, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's on the approach to Village. It's
a
it's a strange
farm,
place
really.
to be. It's a long way off.
Yeah, it certainly is. So, yeah, a long way off there. Green flag's waving on the approach to Village. There's another car involved as well, I think, down there. I wonder if there's some fluid or something on the circuit.
There is a car over the back there.
It's a Golf, isn't it? It's the 10 Golf.
I think so, yeah.
Which was started by John Maudsley today.
That's the Salons Direct car.
There's 37, Andy Martin, our third place driver. He's got George Heller in the Golf, only about 6 seconds behind him now. The Golf, an invitation class car, however. You can see that we've got the Z4 into the pits of Andy Roby, 29 as well. And there is number 4, which is Chris Freeman in the Honda Civic Type R. 66 getting back out into the race is Johnny Hayes now, taking over for the second part.
There's some more, there's some better parking today, isn't there, in the pit lane? Nose in, taking up a little less room.
Yes, and we've not yet had the situation where we've got most of the field descending on the pit lane in one go, as we had yesterday.
We're now into the just into the second half, aren't we, of the 100-minute race?
Absolutely right. There is the 37 car of Marston making its way through. Quick rundown on the positions as we are just over halfway. 1, Carl Swift leading from 86 Joe Lock, 37 Andy Marston 3rd, 87 George Heller 4th, 7 Will Ashmore 5th, 41 David Mercer is 6th, 49 Will Stacey is 7th and leads Class B, 22 Luke Browse is 8th, 9th is number 4 Chris Freeman, and 10th is number 27, which is Mark Rice, and Class C is being led by Alex Miller at the moment in his MX-5. As into the pits has come number 23, that's Graham Robinson, to hand over to Ben McCauley. Of course, the rundown on the order is only of academic interest really, because we've still got drivers to make their stops. Now the 69 car here is Andy Schultz, who's going rapidly, and he's probably capable of lapping at least as fast as Andy Marston, but he is at present only in 23rd position, and yeah, he is 3 laps down on Andy Marston because of the mandatory pit stop that he's already served.
So Andy Schultz used to race in 2000, didn't he?
Yeah, quite an experienced driver. Oh, and Marston's come into pits. The safety car's out now.
And it's picked up the leader one.
It has, which may be a first for the weekend, so that's good. But I suspect that this will now signal a flurry of pit stops for those drivers that haven't already made it, and some frustration for those that have. There is the 71 car. That's the car leading the Class C Championship. Alex Miller, it will be handing over to John Langridge. Alex getting out of the car, and John Langridge going to get in it. And the safety car out. Now, is that because of the 2 cars that we saw off at Farm, I wonder? I've not seen anything else to suggest that we'd have a full course yellow such as this. But we've got a safety car leading these cars around, and as you can see, Marcus, lots of them heading into the pit lane.
Yeah,
now.
the big Holdens among those that have come in.
Yes, Matty Taylor will take that one over from Will Ashmore. But I suspect most of these cars in this queue will dive down the pit road very shortly. Just looking at the MR2 there, that's Stuart Nichols. I've been told that's had to borrow the suspension off sister Maxine's MR2. She was out in the MR2 race before lunch, and they're hoping to put it back onto Maxine's MR2 for her race later on this afternoon.
Leaders in with 45 and 3/4 minutes to go. In they come then. That's Carl Swift in the number 1 car, the Area Motorsports Seat. And next into the pit lane is the Joe Lock BMW, which will be handed over to fellow radical racer Ash Hicklin.
Just hearing from down in the pit lane that the Area Motorsport team are concerned about the brakes on the race-leading Seat. They are going to do a pad change, I think, during the course of this mandatory stop, which lasts for 3 minutes. Now, they need to do the refuelling first. They can't be doing any other work on the car while that's ongoing. So the question is, can they get everything done that they want to do in the space of 3 minutes? That could well be a challenge.
Another of their cars in as well, so it's is that a Seat's been in already? I think it might well be. And there's the 10, the Summons Direct Maudsley Golf.
Yeah, the other car that was there, I can't see just at the moment.
The bronzy coloured, bronze and white Seat.
Yeah, so I think that's the number 6 Seat that's in there, which is the Wallace car. But you can see all of those Area Motorsport cars lined up. I think all of those that you can see in shot there were run by Area Motorsport. Luke Handley was explaining on the interviews that they do all each have their own race engineer. That's the Faulkner car that's being recovered, so that car is still there, as you can see.
So there's the one up, and you can see the guys diving in to those brake calipers.
They'll be timing the pit stop as well to make sure that they do at least 3 minutes, because if they are short 3 minutes, there'll be a penalty that's applied.
If it's a short 3 minutes, I suspect it won't be 3 minutes.
Well, correct. It'll be 170 seconds or something like that. So safety car is still out there. It's now got some different cars behind it, because some of them have gone into the pits and some of them have come out of the pit lane as well.
There'll be time for these as well, though, won't there? Because here comes 37, which is Andy Marston back out.
And also the 71 Mazda with John Langridge now aboard.
Yeah.
Going back out into the race as well.
This is where the complexion of these races tends to shuffle around a little.
Yeah, I wonder how well this will will work out for Alan Henderson.
Holden's
of course.
coming back out.
Yeah.
That's got Matty Taylor now in it, hasn't it?
Looks like they are doing some work on the...
Yeah, they are.
they were hoping to do this pad change. Wonder how the tyres have fared on this car, because for some of the other Seats, I understand that there have been some concerns with how much they've worn. So safety car period's going to go on.
They could change the fronts on that conceivably, couldn't they?
I suspect so. Yeah, I'm sure they could. That's Ash Hicklin being strapped in, by the looks of it. 30 seconds being called by one of the mechanics who's monitoring the length of the stop. Also, there'll be 750 Motor Club officials down there to do likewise, to do the official pit stop timing and make sure everyone's complying with the regulation.
There's a town crier in the background. 15 seconds.
Absolutely. He's missed his vocation, clearly. There is the work still going on the leading car. Now, of course, they don't necessarily need to win the race.
10, 9, 8.
We can even see how long there is to go on for the Chris Freeman car, which is being stopped. This car came in a little bit later, I think. That was a close run thing between the Chris Freeman car, which was being pushed backwards, and the 707 car, which had right of way, which was Jonathan Barrett. Damage was averted, but still very difficult in that pit lane, even though they're going in at 45 degrees, and even though we've got the full length of the pit lane to use. But yes, I was saying for the Carl Swift-Rob Baker team, they don't actually need to win this race, because they can't add any more wins to their total this season. They can add more fastest lap points. That's all that they can do. And the way things are going for other outfits so far is that they may have done enough.
It's interesting, isn't it? The George Heller's best lap is only a tenth outside that of Swift's in the erstwhile leading Seat.
Yeah, George Heller's invitation class car. Not sure what specification that's running to precisely, but either not complying with the regulations or not registered for the championship. But certainly it's a more than 3 minute stop being made by the Area Motorsports Seat.
The air jacks have been dropped. The lights are back on.
Carl Swift, they're going to push the car backwards, having got out of the car. Rob Baker now aboard. There's going to be at least one more lap behind the safety car, though.
So he'll hook on the back of the queue, won't he?
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how all of this shakes out once we get going again. There it is, heading back out into the race. Don't think there's anyone of huge significance that's yet to make a stop. So it should be pretty much as we see it on our timing screens once the race gets back underway. The leader at the moment is the number 80 car, which is now being taken over by, or hasn't yet been taken over by Andrew Etheridge, but that car has yet to make its stop, I think. But I think everyone else has done, and of those that have, it looks like Andy Marston has come out in the lead, number 37 from George Heller in second place, and Ash Hicklin now in third position in the BMW. So German machinery in the first 3 places. If we take out the Etheridges, because they've yet to make their stop. Is that the Etheridge car? No, it's not the Etheridge car. They're going through a shot. It's a little bit further back, I think. Safety car lights still on, and as I say that, they're turned out. Safety car's got its windscreen wipers on, and it looks like there's a bit of rain in the air now, but it does look like we're going to get a restart because the safety car's pulling away from the field, so it looks like we're going to get going again with just under 40 minutes of this race left to go, 43 laps completed. Anyone that's not made their stop now is going to have to do it not under the safety car, it would seem.
But with the safety car retreating to the pit lane this time round, no overtaking until the timing line.
Yes, indeed.
Which is something that catches out quite a lot of competitors.
Yeah, and I think it did yesterday in more than one instance. So we've got the cars heading back round. They'll come up to the timing line, come up to the green flag being waved. It's the 66 car of Jonathan Hayes that's going to be the first one to take it, but the quickest car in that group is the 69 car, which is Andy Schultz, and he is in 18th, and of course that car made it stop before the safety car went out, so it's not really benefited from that. It's effectively a lap down on the leading cars, and the cars on the lead lap now behind the Etheridge car, which is yet to make a stop. George Heller now has taken the lead from Andy Marston. George Heller in the invitation class car.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I assume that it's made it stop. I think it must have done. I'm sure Josh will let us know if I'm mistaken.
Well, he's only a second clear of Marston. We've seen Marston come in and out.
Yeah, so it must have been.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So there is the erstwhile leading car that's now showing in 6th place on the timing screen. 37 minutes of the race are left to go, and it looks like we've got the cars heading down the hang straight, green flag being waved. Let's head down to the pit lane now, and Josh Barrett, you've got an interview.
Thanks, Ian. Yeah, got Cole Swift, who's had quite a difficult stint.
Yeah, 5 laps in, we lost pretty much all front brakes, so trying to defend with no brakes is an absolute nightmare. I've just been parking it on every apex and then just making sure it stopped dead, so I got the run out to defend instead of trying to do it on brakes. And we had a problem with one side on the brake pad change where a bolt got stuck, so I don't know what's happened now.
But it's very rare, obviously, to have to do a brake change, so very good job by the area guys, but I guess they don't practice that for a race situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's easily done in 3 minutes normally, just had a bolt that's stuck on one side. And yeah, like I say, we don't need to change in a 2-hour race, but yeah, the pads have got some kind of issue with them.
Okay. So I think it looks like you're something like 4th still, so that's something that Rob can work at.
We'll just have to pray for rain then now. I think he'll be all right in the rain.
Quite a lot of the Stayers are having front tyre issues. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, we've got it as well. You've got to, well, you're supposed to be driving with it, but I've not been able to do that, so we've killed ours as well, to be honest. But hopefully Rob can cool them down now. He's got some brakes.
Because you were able to keep Alan Henderson behind the Lotus, it forced them to stop early, and of course that's not ideal when the safety car came out later.
Yeah, I think the team said he might have had an issue. They had the bonnet up on it or something. So yeah, I don't know what's happened there.
I think they said it was tactical to get out of because they said you were holding them up.
I was parking it a little bit, yes. Oh, so is he in the lead now?
No, I think because of the early stop means he's further back.
Yes. Somewhere near him then.
So I guess the main one of the Tim Gray Motorsport BMW, who was quite close to you.
I think we've probably lost 30 seconds though, which is a lot to catch up, so we'll just have to see what we can do.
Championship-wise, I think you've already won the Class A Championship, and it's more what the other guys do, because you've already got your 4 wins for your 4 scores.
We have, but we've only got 1 fastest lap, so the Class C guys, depending on what they do today, it could all go to that last round.
Well, we'll see what happens. Well done on keeping up at the front, Cole.
Brilliant, thank you very much.
So that's Cole Swift, and I think if we head down here, I think there's another driver we can grab a word with while you're down here in the pit lane, which is Joe Locke, who was Alsgard. Joe, you were involved in that lead battle. How was it for you?
Yeah, no, it was good, mate. Yeah, me and Carl had some great battles at Donington, and coming here, we thought it might be our circuit. But I was surprised how fast they are. So I think they destroyed the tyres, and I managed to get back to them. But for us, it was more driving around. So we struggled really bad with understeer them. So we're just driving around the problem, but still trying to find the time, to catch him back. And then I was wondering when he was going to pit. I was waiting for him to pit, and then we both got stitched by a safety car through first corner. So it was it was an obvious decision on what to do. But I thought hopefully Ash we managed. I don't know what's wrong with theirs, but they took a lot longer than us in the pit stop. So
they had changed their brake pads.
Oh, did he?
So they've obviously dropped back. So I guess you're the leading pit stopper now.
Yeah, I think we. I don't know where the Lotus is it Alan driving the Lotus? Yeah, so Alan's quick. He was really quick. He was hard to defend against before when I was doing my stint. So if he can get back past him, then obviously hopefully we can get a win. But I just hope we can get the first victory that we wanted all season. So and end it on a high.
I guess it's nice to have the whole stint go smoothly after the last few meetings.
Yeah, we've had just random problems. Like little cheap parts going. And it's so frustrating, you do all that work to get to the position of, and then you get to the race and you do 1 lap. It's just, it's not ideal, is it? So
Coming from the Radical from the last year, how's that been to change to the BMW?
The BMs, it's more. Do you know what I enjoy about it the most? Is the fact that it's a team sport now instead of just me being a solo driver. It's nice to have obviously a co-driver with Ash, but also the team doing a pit stop and everything. It just feels so much more. I don't know what the word is, but just it's more enjoyable. But obviously, I still miss, and I still want to go back, and I will be going back to the Rads because I still miss slicks and wings. So.
Obviously, huge grids in these races. This is quite a short track, so what was the traffic like? Yeah,
traffic's a nightmare, but at the end of the day, you know, everyone's paid the same amount of money, everyone deserves to be on the track, so it's hard to get frustrated when you get stuck behind someone, but, you know, if I was in their position, I'd be racing other people in their class, so, no, it's not, we never get frustrated, we just weave our way through. It's the same for Carl, you know, there's odd times where you get stitched in wrong positions and they get away, but most times we can, you know, have an even race, and I think from the footage then it was quite close, wasn't it? You know, for a good 5-6 laps at least with me and him, you know, nose to tail. So I'm looking forward to going forward, mate. Yeah. Best
of luck. Look forward to seeing how the race finishes. That's Joe Locke out of the number 86 Tim Gray Motorsport BMW.
Which is now the lead of the Class A cars. It wasn't when I think you suggested it might be, Josh, but it is now. So Ash Hicklin now leading Andy Marston in Class A, but the George Haller Golf, the Invitation class car, is another, well, a couple of seconds up the road now, Marcus.
Yeah, they're lapping in very, very similar times, aren't they? But just a couple of seconds between them, as you say. Hicklin in 86 there on the screen is only 0.8 of a second clear of Andy Marston, yesterday's Road Sports winner in his E46 M3, and in fact, yeah, that's even closer this time round. And then the Etheridges hanging on in 4th place at the moment. Taylor is next in the 7, he's 5th overall, and Rob Baker is in 6th place. There's a gap is around 24 seconds from the 2 BMWs in front to the Baker-driven Area Motorsports Seat, the championship leader.
That's for position on screen now. We've got Rob Baker in number 1, right behind number 7, Matty Taylor. So that's for 5th position overall. The Seat chasing down the Holden Commodore and going through at Village. So it's up to 5th place now. Rob Baker, having taken the car over from Carl Swift. There's 30 minutes or so to go in the race. That car getting ahead of Luke Browse, or probably Paul Browse it will now be, actually in the car. That car is a lap down on those though. So down the Hangar Straight, that is Rob Baker getting to the head of this little group now. He is in 5th position. He is about 15 seconds behind the Etheridge car, which we think is yet to make its stop.
Yeah, we'll start to see some progress now, because he's been freed effectively, hasn't he?
Yes, he has. And he's got a bit of clear track ahead of him, or relatively clear track ahead of him, to try to make it through. But up front, the gap between 87 the Golf and 86 the BMW, the first of the Class A cars, that's come down to 1.55 seconds now. So that's for the overall lead. So we'll try to have a look at that. The gap between Baker and Marston, which is possibly more relevant, so 5th to 3rd at this stage, that's about 22 seconds. So we'll see if Baker's able to do anything about that.
Yeah, that's right. And it's about 10 seconds between Marston in 3rd and the 37, the white BMW, and 80 Etheridge. 12 seconds back to what is now Rob Baker in number 1, and in 6th place is 90. No, it's 7. Sorry, it's the Holden, which is just a second and a half or so behind. 7th is Henderson in 90. 8th is Mercer in 41. Freeman in 4 is the Class B leader in 9th place, and in 10th place is the rival, which is that's just changed, hasn't it? Yes, William Stacey's just got past Chris Freeman, so that's a change in Class B lead.
Those are the cars on screen now, and Chris Freeman goes kangarooing over the grass on the exit of Abbey, having dropped back down to 3rd position. Significantly, as far as the championship goes, though, neither of those Drivers are Luke Handley, who needs to win Class B today. And as far as Class C is concerned, that's still being led by Rory Baptista, as it now is in the BMW, with the John Langridge car second in Class C, but about 5 places behind, and quite some distance behind the BMW now. And that also is a car that can't afford to drop any points today if they want to have any chance of taking the championship.
And this is a challenge for the lead, Ian, because the big BMW is bowling up behind George Heller's left hooker Golf. That very attractive sort of snakeskin livery.
Yep, so only a quarter of a second between them as they cross the line this time. Had them in the invitation class car, and Ashley Hicklin in the championship Class A BMW, making their way around the link onto the Hangar Straight with 27 minutes of the race remaining here. And they are about 4 seconds clear of Andy Marston's BMW as well.
Yeah, that's also on the Hangar Straight, but now they've got traffic ahead of them.
Yeah, they have. That's going to come into play. So this for the overall race lead. Over the crest there as they head into the Vale. Locking up the brakes there is the 87B Golf, I should say.
And that looked quite tricky for a moment. The Golf looked like it would have to go around the outside of the BMW, but that compromised him, had to come out of the throttle, and the big BMW with all that torque growled up ever closer.
Yeah, 3/10 between them that time, so very similar to what it was a lap ago. Marston took half a second out of both of them. He's got to within 4 seconds of the race lead now, and we think the Etheridge no, that's not the Etheridge BMW. The Etheridge BMW still get to make a stop. That's the Edward Christie BMW making it stop relatively late on in the race. There you can see the yellow wing mirrors on that BMW of Andy Marston in 3rd position. There's Alan Henderson. He's still there in 7th place. He did a slow last lap, a 1 minute 22, but he's done another lap in the 1 minute 12. He's actually gone a bit quicker than he went earlier on, a 1:12.33 for Henderson before that. So he's still pushing on. But there he is now, pretty ruining that early pit stop. It was always going to be a gamble because there's a good chance there would be a safety car at some point.
The other car that has been flying is the 69, the Hampson and Schultz. Oh, that's done a 12.8.
Yes, it has, and that's Andy Schultz that will have set that time much the quicker of those two drivers. So he's made some progress in the second part of this race.
He's done some GT racing as well, hasn't he? Andy
Yeah.
Schultz and Aston Martin.
I think so, yeah. Seems to ring a bell.
Right, there's 80 coming in. That's the Etheridges, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So finally they've made their stop. They did it with 10 minutes to spare because you can't make your stop within the last 15 minutes of the race, and they're in with 25 minutes to go. And the driver change there is for Andrew to climb aboard and take over from Christopher for the remaining 20 minutes or so of this race. That is the 6 car, which is Simon Wallace now, and he is trying to get past the 27 car of Will Beach, who's in a Class B car, Wallace in a Class A machine, so in theory at least it should be relatively straightforward for him to get through. We're being told that there may be a penalty for car 87, which is the leading Heller car. Not had that officially confirmed yet. If we can find out and get the details, that will bring it to you. That's the invitation class car out front, so it doesn't really matter from the point of view of what's going on in this race anyway.
Certainly not a championship issue, so...
No. And the two leaders, including that 87 car, are indeed together now. So they turn their way through the right-hander at Abbey.
That's a fast thing, isn't it? It looks like it's a TCR spec car.
Yeah. It looks that way, listed in the programme as if it was going to be a Seat Cooper, but it's actually clearly a Golf. And they've got the car behind it of the Class A leader, which is at the moment Ash Hicklin. That gap to Andy Marston, though, has come down by another 0.3 of a second on that last lap, down to almost exactly 3 seconds, second to third on the road. And Marston looked like he was lapping one of the other Seats as well in the background there. Into the pits has come the Hella car, so that sort of moved itself out of the equation anyway. We thought there might be a penalty for it when it's headed down the pit lane. We'll see where it's going to go. Is it going to go into the penalty box?
Yep.
It is going to go into the penalty box.
In the sin bin, as they call it.
Yeah, so we're not quite sure what that is for. If Josh is
Short stop,
could be.
fractionally.
Could be. I'll consult my list of possible penalties, and maybe Josh will fill us in if he finds out what's going on.
Scrutineer's just run his hand round the front of the front splitter.
I wonder if it's possibly a refuelling issue, looking at the list of possible penalties, as to why it might have been called in for what we think might be a 5-minute stop-and-go penalty.
It's a long time, isn't it?
More stop than go, certainly.
Lead BMWs then both on the hangar straight. Here is the car of Ash Hicklin, number 86, now leading towards the end of lap 57.
That's the Class C leader into the pit lane. That is Rory Baptiste. They've already made their scheduled stop. That was for Tim Hartland to hand over to Rory. And so this is an unscheduled stop. There is some refuelling going on, so whether the refuelling didn't get done first time around, I'm not sure. But that's looks like an extra stop being made to me. See how that feeds into things. Any stop that involves refuelling has to be for at least 3 minutes, so you can't do a splash and dash. So if you put any fuel in the car, you have to be stationary for 3 minutes, even if you've already made your 3-minute mandatory stop. If you're having anything else done to the car that's not refuelling, you can be in and out as quickly as the work will allow. Last time through, Andy Martin in second place did his personal best lap of 1:13.93. He was 0.3 per second quicker than Ash Hicklin. The gap 3.35 seconds. On that 555 car, we've still got that wheel arch flailing somewhat. There it is. Doesn't appear to be slowing the car down too much. That's James Alford and Mark Lloyd Jones Golf GTI. $20 minutes or so left to go in this race, and there is Andy Marston then pursuing Ash Hicklin, two white BMWs out front, and you can see that they've got pretty much a lap on Alan Henderson there. So Alan Henderson was just starting the lap as these two were coming over the line. 3.54 seconds now between them, and it looks like there's a few more spots of rain on the camera lens as well, and on the windscreen of number 1, Carl Swift, Rob Bakerton. Now Carl Swift was saying, well, hopefully it will rain. It is raining, and this may play into the hands of the Seat. They're 26 seconds behind the leading cars at the moment, Marcus,
with just under 20 minutes to go. Yep, there is Rob Baker. That Golf is still sitting there in the pit lane. Yeah, it's now become very much darker overhead. It's the Wallace Brothers number 6 Seat there.
Now there's Luke Handley, who is in 4th place in Class B at the moment behind Stacey, Freeman and Drybrough. He needs to be winning Class B to keep his championship chances alive, overall championship chances alive, that is. Class C now, having had that stop for Baptiste, is now back in the hands of John Langridge, who's taken over from Alex Miller. So he leads now, just trying to work out if he's got the fastest lap within Class C, which will take a moment or two of research, but I think he might well do. Yeah, he's been quicker in this race than has Rory Baptiste, I think. He's done a 1:16.59 compared to the best lap time for Baptiste for 1:20.07. So
it's a lifetime, isn't it?
It is a lifetime.
Yeah. The Golf has got the wing hanging off. That needs to be. That is now even a jauntier angle than it was before, but it's still attached to the majority of the wing, which is bolted to the chassis. Or the shell. And there's the Golf. Heller back into the fray with 17 and 3/4 minutes to go.
Yeah, we just saw the 41 Mark Mercer BMW taken over from his father, David. And that Golf going back into this. There's the Class C leader. That's now John Langridge at the wheel of that car. Ex-Fiesta and MX-5 racer. Front runner in both of those categories. King Endurance Racing this season, driving Alex Miller's Mazda MX-5 Mark III, berooved, which is probably just as well in conditions like this. And he is clear of the car, another MX-5 that's been taken over by Chris Webster from Matthew Tidmarsh. That's the number 8 car running second in Class C.
Hickland's extended its lead. It's now 5.4 seconds in 86 over 37. And Rob Baker is about 21 seconds behind Andy Marston in second place. So he is closing in, but it's little by little.
Yeah, and there's only 16 minutes, so perhaps 12 or 13 laps to go, something like that. So not that long to do it in.
The last time round was 7/10 quicker.
So there's the race leading car, Ash Hicklin. Are we then going to see a new outright race winner this season? It looks very much as if we are.
Henderson's Lotus, which you can see on the left of the screen just under the graphic, he is running 5th, but he is a lap behind the leaders.
Yeah, and he was just under a lap behind before, so he's gone a lap down relatively recently, I think. So Henderson, who was so strong in the early part of this race and is still lapping very quickly. Last lap was a 1:13.05 in actual fact. I don't think is going to feature right at the very sharp end of this race now.
Another second gained by the leader. He's now 6.7 seconds clear, and that's going out.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? By the looks of things. Class B being led by William Stacey. He's got Chris Freeman behind him. Class C being led by John Langridge still from Chris Webster. As we go into the last quarter of an hour of this Tegiwa Club Enduro Championship race. There's one more of these to go this season. That's at Alton Park in October. The way things are going, I think that may well be the one that has to decide the championship, because I think it looks like Langridge and Miller are going to keep it alive just about going into that final round, because they've got the fastest lap and the lead at the moment in Class C.
Henderson last time round has done a 12:33.
No, that's his best lap. The last
so
lap
that's
15.
the best. Yeah, it's his best. So 15, yeah. But he's lapping quicker than those ahead.
He is.
Significantly quicker than the Commodore. So he's only 5 seconds behind the Commodore. He could get 4th overall.
Yeah, in fact, you can see those on screen now. Just coming out of the club corner was Henderson. There is Henderson in the Lotus, number 90. And he is now only about 3 seconds behind the Commodore. There's the Commodore down at Village, and that's just ahead of the race leader. And then you've got Henderson, who was in contention for the race lead not so very long ago. So you've got cars lapping at a sort of, or capable of lapping at a similar pace all together there, but on different laps, and we might have a change for 4th position, which possibly is as high up the order as Henderson can now hope to get, with only about 13.5 minutes of this race left to go.
Yeah, 2.9 seconds behind the Commodore number 7, which lies 4th. That early lap at the 12:33 is pretty devastating. That's 9/10 of a second quicker than the Baker Swift car, which suggests they're not going to get the fastest lap points.
It rather does, doesn't it? I don't think we're going to see that that change now. So it looks like again Baker and Swift have just failed to pick up one of the 16 points that are available for a class win and a fastest lap. Pick up 15 instead. 69 Schultz, and he is lapping the 1:13 as well. He's the fastest man out there at the moment, actually, Andy Schultz, in the number 69 BMW on screen now, in 8th place overall. Lapping quicker than and Mark Mercer, actually, he's just on a 13 as well. In fact, Mark Mercer on a 13.7 as his best now, and a 13.89 on the last lap.
And here comes George Heller back in again.
This time at his garage rather than in the penalty box, but there's no one there to greet him. So that was a car that was leading on the road for a little while, but
going away now.
Yeah, car out of the race. So 12 minutes now left. That is the 41 car of Mark Mercer, taken it from David. There's the 98 car of Baptiste that's back out into the race, but now running 27th and 3rd within Class E. Still ahead of Ivor Mayers though, but behind the MX-5s of John Langridge and Chris Webster. There's the Commodore, and behind the Commodore is Andy Marston, who's in 2nd place overall, and then Henderson, who's 5th, so 4th, 2nd, 5th together in that order.
Yeah, Henderson looks like he's going to unlap himself from Marston, doesn't he?
Looks that way, and possibly pass, and hopefully from his point of view, pass the Commodore as well, which must be, I would guess, getting on for twice the weight.
He's passed the Commodore,
He
but
has.
that was because the gap was opened by Andy Marston, who dived past the Commodore onto the hangar straight.
But in a straight line, the Commodore is a more potent weapon and holds on to that 4th position.
Front splitter on the Commodore is wobbling up and down all over the place.
Can't help. Henderson's going to have another attempt, which is again rebuffed. The Lotus will find, I think, it's much better through the corners, but in a straight line it's hard to keep up with the Commodore. There's Stuart Nichols getting in the thick of the action again in the MR2 Roadster. Bob, he's having a little battle there with the 112 Civic Type R of Manoj Patel. He's a tremendous enthusiast. And 41 in the mix as well. That's the Mercer car. Mark Mercer at the wheel. The lead, by the way, has gone out to nearly 8 seconds now between for Ash Hicklin over Andy Marston, who we've been watching for a few moments, and Marston to Baker in 3rd place is about 18 seconds, and that gap not coming down, it would seem.
All big spin, that's Baptiste.
Yeah, and the race coming apart for Rory Baptiste there.
That's a Village.
Led Class C early on, Tim Hartland taking the first part of the race, but second part of the race has not got to plan an extra pit stop, and a spin has dropped that car out of contention now. There's the treble 5 car, which is running in 18th position, the Ogford and Mark Lloyd-Jones car. There's the 126 car, that's Brad Kaler, he's running in 15th position. Just behind him is the number 8 Chris Webster Mazda, that's the car that's 2nd within Class C behind John Langridge at the moment. Just checking my screen to make sure that Langridge is still ahead in Class C. Yes, he is, and it looks like he's still got the Class C fastest lap as well, which will mean that if they do pick up maximum points and keep the championship alive going to Alton Park.
Baker quickest of the top 3 in recent laps. He's cut that gap to Andy Marston down to about 16.5 seconds, but he hasn't got enough time really with another 8 minutes to go, I don't think, to reduce that, not at the rate of gain currently anyway. Henderson still 4th in the White Lotus. Oh, the Nichols MR2 Roadster has pulled off. It's just at the start of the Hangar Straight.
Yeah, hopefully nothing too seriously wrong with that car. It's, as I say, just parked up on the grass, just on the exit of the link, start of the Hangar Straight. So a shame that Stuart's not able to bring that home. Just 7 or 8 minutes away from the checkered flag in this Tegiwa Club Enduro Championship race, 100-minute one. And there's Henderson. He's getting through now ahead of Matty Taylor to take 5th place, and that's only 5th place because the Mark Mercer BMW has gone ahead of both of them now. So Mark Mercer's got himself up into 4th position in this second part of the race.
That's just showing us one Mercer, isn't it, on the screen, which is interesting.
But on our information, it was David Mercer starting and Mark second.
Was that Lotus slowing?
It is a little bit. Its lap times have been pretty irregular over the past few laps, but that's certainly looking like it's slow down the Hangar Straight, isn't it now, the Alan Henderson car. He is about 20 seconds clear of the Andy Schultz car, which is, on the last lap, was 6 seconds a lap faster, so it's in danger of losing another position if indeed it can make it to the end of the race. There is the number 1 car, that's Baker putting a lap on the 6th place car of Matty Taylor, and he is still there in 3rd position, Rob Baker, and that time through he falls a little bit further behind Andy Marston in 2nd place, in actual fact another 8/10 or so behind him. There's Henderson, he's continuing on, but that lap time for Henderson was a 1:21. The previous lap was a 1:20, so he must have some kind of problem, maybe an intermittent problem that's affecting his lap times.
Fuel starvation perhaps in the corners, getting low.
Yeah, it's possible. It's more than possible. 6 minutes of the race left to go.
Seems to have no urgency about it, that's for sure.
No, and he's got 15 seconds in hand over Schultz, but Schultz on that lap did a 1:13.73, so it was 7.5 seconds a lap faster, so would catch Henderson at that rate of progress before the end. And again, it's slow down the straight, isn't it?
Yes, very slow. Which might indicate that the fuel's just not getting to the engine under acceleration.
Yeah, that would certainly stack up. So that's a shame after a race that promised a lot for Henderson. I mean, he didn't start that high up on the grid. He was only 7th on the grid after that slightly bizarre qualifying session that we had this morning with the red flag a few laps in and then rain, which meant that there was scant opportunity to get a number of quick laps in. There's the race leading car, 10.7 seconds clear of the rest now. Ash Hicklin in this BMW had 1 second place finish this season, but as Joe was saying earlier on, they've had some frustrating reliability issues as well that have really proved something of a setback. So if the Tim Gray Motorsport car can come home with the victory, that will be a tremendous fillip for them, and a great success for Tim and his team. Not seen Tim racing himself for a little while, but very successful racing driver at club level in his own right. Lots of championship wins under his belt and very rapid. These days more involved in winning cars for other people though.
Heavily involved in the Pragas, isn't he? Which he was driving and then sort of gets involved with running behind the scenes. 10 seconds is the lead between the 2 big white BMWs. 86 the leader, Ash Hicklin, took over from Joe Locke. Andy Marston in 2nd place.
Over the line goes Rob Baker once again, and that time is just a fraction quicker than Marston, but the gap between them 16 seconds or so as we're into the last 4 minutes of the race.
Yeah, Baker's around a second away from that car's fastest lap in the race so far.
Yeah,
wheel was locked there. Did you see the front wheel was locked as it went over the curb?
Yeah, those two drives pretty equal, Swift and Baker. Swift in the first part of the race, Baker in the second part.
Always very advantageous if you've got that luxury on a team to get the same feedback from both drivers as well, in all probability.
So they'll have 3 laps to go, I reckon, as they go across the line to complete lap 72, which make it a 75 lap race. And down towards Village comes this great gaggle of cars. Just having a look, see how many cars I think are still circulating. I think probably during the course of this race we've lost maybe 10 or so cars. Some of them may have come back out again to complete some more laps, having made an early start, but I think we've lost about 10 or 12 cars maybe during the course of this race, so still well over 30 circulating right into this into these dying moments of the race. Just on the class situation, it's still Will Stacey leading Class B in number 49 from number 4 Chris Freeman and 16 Phil Driver, so Luke Handley only 4th within that class still. And within Class C, it's still John Langridge and Alex Miller leading the way from Webster and Tidmarsh and Baptiste and Hartland. So
BMW Compact just had a big spin, has continued. Henderson down in 7th place, just slipping away, being caught 4 seconds a lap by William Stacey in the B class leading Lotus.
.4 seconds now the gap between Hicklin and Marston.
Yeah, and Baker's back in the 13s. Just a concerted effort getting that fastest lap in the class.
But
Got a way to go.
He's got a long way to go. He's got to get to a 12.3, hasn't he, to get ahead of Henderson.
Watch it over the curbs here again. We'll see whether it, the wheel just locks up.
Onto the hanger straight goes that car for the final time, 13 seconds behind Andy Marston, who did a slower lap that time. Both he and Hicklin did a slower lap, actually 1:16.5 for both of them. As Marcus said, Rob was in the 13s.
The Wallace Seat was off the wrong side of the curbs up in the link last time through.
There's the Browse BMW, the green and black one. That's running in 12th place. Paul Browse now at the wheel. But
yeah, that's Papa Browse, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lad went first.
Here's the race leader, though, on his final lap of the race, Ash Hicklin. Of course, it was Joe Locke that was aboard for the first part of the race, and he's handed over to his fellow former Radical racer Ash Hicklin for the second segment. There is the last lap board being shown and the checkered flag being prepared. The clock's counted down to 0. There's Phil Driver going through, and there's Marston in second place.
And the Lotuses are switched. 49 Stacey up into 7th, 8th now is Henderson. And he may well lose up to 23 seconds. That could end up behind Freeman as well. Not in the same class, but he could end up 10th out of this.
Leader, meanwhile, as we watch the second place car, is already heading down into the Vale and Club for the final time. There it is, number 86. Ash Hicklin behind the Chris Webster MX-5. Doesn't need to pass it though. Comes out of the final corner, takes the checkered flag and wins round 5 of the 2021 Tegiwa Club Enduro Championship, and it is the first different winner we've had apart from Swift and Baker during the course of this season. So congratulations to Joe Locke and Ash Hicklin for getting the win this time. Second place goes to Andy Marston, 11.8 seconds behind. And then a third, there goes the Seat, and that's another just under 10 seconds behind Rob Baker and Carl Swift in third position. So for extra 30 seconds they took in the pit stop to change those pads. Well, I suppose it got them some better brakes for the second part of the race, but it did prove crucial with that. I think that bolt being the problem that Carl Swift referred to, costing them dear in the end. Rest of the cars making their way through. We've had some of the class positions already settled. Will Stacey just about to cross the line now. There he goes to take 7th place overall. He's a lap down but wins Class B in number 49. So that in its own right means that Luke Handley can no longer win the overall championship. I've not yet seen the Langridge and Miller MX5 go through to win in the other class, in Class C, but I think they were due to, and if they've not already done so, they will be over the line very shortly. So I think they have already been across the line, because that's the last car across the line now. So it looks like Langridge and Miller have taken the Class C victory and got the Class C fastest lap, and that prolongs the championship to the final round at Alton Park in about a month or so's time. So, Joe Lock and Ash Hicklin, the race winners. Let's have a look at the results of that race now. Winning by just under 12 seconds in the end, number 86 from number 37, Andy Martin. Rob Baker and Carl Swift were third, 21 seconds off the lead. They were the only 3 finishers on the lead lap. David Mercer and Mark Mercer were fourth, a lap down. Number 7, Taylor and Ashman with the Holton Commodore were 5th. 69, Hampson and Schultz in the BMW was 6th. 49, Will Stacey 7th, winning Class B. 19, Alan Henderson fading away towards the end, finished 8th. Number 4, Chris Freeman was 2nd in Class B and 9th overall. 16, Phil Driver in the Porsche, 10th overall and 3rd in Class B. A bit further back down the order, Luke Handley only finished 4th, so a bit of a disappointing day for the Golf driver. Number 51 in 13th position overall, and confirmation that in 20th place overall, number 71, Alex Miller and John Langridge won Class C. They also got the fastest lap within that class as well. A bit further back, Michael Downey, 21st, 22nd, Martin Gadsby, but then 2nd in Class C, the Webster and Tidmarsh Mazda. And then despite various dramas, the Baptiste and Heartland BMW, number 98, finished 24th overall and 3rd in Class C. And still a couple more screens to go, but we're getting into the drivers here and the teams that didn't make it to the end. Stuart Nichols we saw retiring, so I think all of these drivers you can see now failed to take the checkered flag, unfortunately. But the win going the way of Joe Lock and Ash Hicklin, and hopefully we'll be able to head down there very shortly. Ash Hicklin, I can see, with a garland round his neck. So let's head down to the pit lane now and hear from Ash with Josh.
So we're down here in the pit lane with our race winner. Well done, Ash Hicklin. Great second stint there to win.
Yeah, thank you very much. We just pushed and pushed. We knew we had the pace this weekend. We've been after it all season. We've had a lot of bad luck. Joe did a mega first stint. We'd like to thank Tim Gray, and yeah, it's just about time that it's all paid off.
I was saying to Joe earlier, the last 2 meetings were horrible for you. I don't think you even got to go in the race, did you?
No, I haven't. So I haven't done that much time in the car in the last couple of rounds. So we had a good one at Brands that we came back quite strong, and then obviously Snetterton didn't go anywhere near the plan. So it's nice that everything's paid off for us and the team and everyone involved.
There was a long time where you were behind the Invitational Golf, and I think Andy was starting to catch again. Was that a bit nervous for you?
Yeah, I was trying to push past him, but at the same time I didn't want to end up him taking me out, because I could see that he had a penalty lap after lap. I thought it's only a matter of time before he finally comes in, and eventually he did, and yeah, we just kind of got going.
I said to Joe earlier, because obviously you're the same coming from Radicals, it's a big change to an M3.
Oh, massive change. For starters, you haven't got the wind noise coming past your ear, with it being a tin top, which is quite nice. But yeah, I'm loving it. Absolutely loving the Enduro.
Well done. Let's have a quick word with Joe. I know we spoke to him earlier, but now you're the race winner, Joe. Well done.
Yeah, no, it's great. Well done to Ash for finishing it off. You know, team effort in it. We're made up. You know, it's been a hard, long time, and you know, all credit to Ash, myself, Tim, the team. You know, everything. We've been through a lot of bad luck, and eventually it's all come together. So you know, we're made up.
Congratulations. So that's our overall race winner. We were hoping to get the class winners, but they have seemed to have disappeared. So let's get Andy Marston, who's over here. Andy, who took second place. Away yourself, and not far behind the winner either, really.
Oh man, it was close. I just didn't quite have the pace today. So I think I took too much curb early in it. I've got a steering wheel like that, but it's mega. Absolutely mega. Joe, just couldn't catch him. Couldn't catch him.
You obviously did Club Enduro a few years ago. How do you feel the competition's changed since then?
It's just gone up about 20 levels, I would have said. But no, it's good. It's good.
Okay, well done.
Okay.
We'll see if we can get our class winners. Do we know? Okay. No. Okay, we're not going to get our class winners. Apologies for that. But well done to our overall winners then, Joe Lock and Ash Hicklin.